Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 6th June 2021. Let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important developments. Let us first take overview of all these articles and then we can go into details of all of them one by one. First article, COVID-19 vaccines and the indemnity clause. Now one of the student yesterday asked in the comment box what is the indemnity clause that is going on in news. Yes, surely we will discuss this in this particular article in detail and you will understand the meaning of this indemnity clause here. Okay, so this is important from governance and COVID-19 perspective. In detail we will try to understand what is this indemnity clause. Then coming together of powerful five. The context of this particular article, it is talking about the origin of BRICS, then further achievements, outcome and the challenges faced by BRICS grouping, along with that the present outcome, present status and way forward. This becomes important from GS2 paper International Relations IR. Then Facebook suspends Trump for 2 years. Now as a follow up to the earlier news that we are covering here regarding the Capitol violence that happened because of many such videos posted by Trump, earlier president, US president, on social media platform, different social media platform blocked the leader here. Now Facebook also has launched the protocols, regulations, guidelines regarding how these global leaders will be dealt, their positions or their accounts will be dealt on different matters. Okay, so this is important from governance perspective. As a follow up, you need to be aware about these developments. Then what is global minimum tax and what will it mean? So recently G7 group finance ministers of these countries, they met and they proposed this global minimum tax, especially for ensuring there is no, let's say, tax base erosion from the country. So what is this global minimum tax, its need and how it will work, that we are going to understand from economy and international relations part in prelims examination. Then basics about this G7 grouping, as it is in news, we have to also understand what is this grouping, origin and the present status and the outcome. And 114 people killed in Burkina Faso attacks. So this particular country in Western Africa, Burkina Faso, its location, geography, the geographical mapping part, that is important. Many such African countries, northern part, North African country, Western African countries, wherein some conflict going on. So that becomes important for our prelims examination from mapping perspective. And lastly, some daily prelims MCQs that we will solve on the basis of these current developments. Okay, let us go into details of all these articles. First, COVID-19 vaccines and indemnity clause. Okay, so yes, on FAQ page, this particular article, it is talking about the union government that is in talks with the foreign manufacturers of COVID-19 vaccines on their demand for indemnity from liability as a condition for selling their vaccines to country. Now for example, the companies like Pfizer company, Moderna, especially those located in US, they are asking for such indemnity clause. Okay, so what is this indemnity and why it is sought? First of all, what is indemnity? Okay, let us try to understand this. Basically, indemnity from the liability is basically when or we can say it is a contract between buyer and supplier. Buyer and supplier. So in this case, the buyer is Indian government and supplier is these companies. And it is the contract or bond, indemnity contract between buyer and supplier. Basically, it is talking about that when these products are used by the end user, if suppose there is any kind of damage or any kind of, let's say in this case particular vaccine, there is some kind of, let's say, side effects, or suppose there is a death of the people by after the vaccines are given to the people, then the compensation from the compensation demanded by the people because of such side effects or any kind of health effects happening from these vaccines. So these companies will not be liable to pay such compensation when this indemnity is given. That means the government is supposed to pay the compensation and not these companies. So that's why these companies are actually demanding the indemnity from the liability. Okay, so this is very important aspect. Why? Because the domestic manufacturers like Serum Institute of India also said that the government should have parity. If it is providing such indemnity clause to the foreign companies, then it should also provide such clause to local companies also, domestic companies also. Along with that, why it is sought? It is sought to avoid any additional financial burden from unforeseen effects of its products. Okay. So in general we can understand that the products and all these are bought with the sufficient and appropriate standards, safety measures, all these are there. However, suppose in case something happens in future, then the compensation is to be paid by the government of India and not by this company. Such kind of clause is indemnity clause. Okay, and at present the government has not finalized its decision regarding this indemnity clause. Now what is the provision in, we can say that, in our law or statute book? So whatever the law dealing with drugs does not have provide for indemnity clause. Okay, that means the provision of indemnity will be included in a we can say contract, in a contract. Now the Contracts Act that we have, it defines indemnity contract or indemnity provision regarding the waiver from paying the compensation by the supplier of the goods, we can say. Okay, so basically it is for some, it acts as some kind of insurance to these companies, right? Now we have to understand that even if it is the indemnity is provided, that will be provided by Government of India through a bilateral contract on case to case basis. Okay, so this is how we have to understand. There is no legal backup at present. India, or up till now India or Government of India has not provided any kind of such indemnity clause earlier for import of drugs and vaccines. Okay, now what we have to understand further is the demand or grant for indemnity a standard practice, especially regarding COVID-19? Basically, we have to understand the Pfizer company it has asked for indemnity clause in a contract from all of its buyers, different countries, and many countries, Western countries like UK, they have signed these contracts with indemnity clause. Though we can understand that this is part of agreement or contract and it is very closed information. It is not generally open to the public as the provisions of contract. Okay, so yes, UK government also had provided indemnity clause in their contract. In general, we have to understand that the government or any such buyer ensures the safety standards and everything and then only buys this. Okay, so to some extent the threat is very less. However, the vaccines at present we know that they are not 100% effective, or we can say the sufficient studies are not available for their effectiveness or any kind of side effect or long term effect. right? So that for that purpose we have to understand these companies are asking for such indemnity clause, and there is some risk involved for the government to provide such indemnity clause. Okay. Next, what does India gain by giving indemnity? First thing we have to understand that the positives. What are the positives and then what are the negatives for providing such indemnity clause? Yes, when the indemnity is provided, the cost of vaccines will reduce. Why? Because if indemnity is not provided, what will happen is these companies will sell these vaccines at higher cost to compensate whatever the compensation is to be paid in future in any case. Suppose the compensation is asked for its vaccines, or we can say any side effects or health effects because of these vaccines. Okay, so this is, we can say, reduced cost, and therefore the government of India can buy or further bargain on the cost of these vaccines with these companies. However, the negative aspect we have to understand is that a similar type of clause to be provided to domestic companies also to ensure level playing field. We have seen many such cases wherein the compensation have been demanded from Serum Institute of India or Bharat Biotech because of, let's say, many such cases where we have seen the deaths occurring after giving the COVID-19 vaccine shots to the people, especially during the clinical trials that we have seen. Similar cases may arise in future, so that's why these companies will also seek a similar treatment from the domestic companies also, at par with foreign companies, right? So this is how we have to understand the indemnity. We will have the follow up what government will take decision in near future regarding addition of this clause. Fine. Okay. The coming together of the powerful five. This is talking about the BRICS grouping. Recently, the context we can say that here, this relates to GS2 paper IR section. GS2 paper IR section. The context is recently the virtual summit, virtual ministerial level meeting of BRICS grouping happened. Second thing you need to know that 2021 India is the president of grouping. Basically the grouping, BRICS grouping, its presidency rotates on the annual basis according to the acronym of BRICS, BRICS. Okay, so 2021 all the activities will be chaired by India. Later this year, the heads of the governments will have the BRICS summit meeting that will be chaired by Prime Minister of India. Okay, so that's why the importance or significance, it also becomes important for our examination, mains examination. BRICS grouping, the question can be specifically asked on this grouping. Now origin, we need to trace the origin from two papers published by Goldman Sachs company. Okay, Goldman Sachs company, and this company had said that the substantial GDP of world will come from four emerging economies. Okay, which are these four? BRIC: Brazil, Russia, India, China. South Africa was later on added in the grouping. Okay, so this is how we have to understand that these paper, Goldman Sachs paper, basically sought for reforming reforming G7 grouping and said that these G7 grouping should include these 4 emerging economies. They should include these 4 emerging economies further. Okay, later on what happened is, after 2008 financial crisis, which was, we can say, severely felt, impacted G7 countries. Basically, G7 countries are the largest economies of the world at that time, 1975. They formed this grouping and they were impacted by this 2008 financial crisis, and least impact on the economies of BRIC grouping, or these 4 emerging economies. And therefore, this paper, or we can say that further focus was shifting to the BRIC countries, and the market, international market, or the companies were looking for such kind of market or the economies which are resilient for such shocks. And therefore, the need was felt that these countries should come together and form one grouping and form uniform policies. And therefore, in 2006 itself, on sidelines of G7 meeting, the heads of these governments for Brazil, India, Russia and China, they met here and the group was formalized. And first summit in 2009, and later on South Africa was added in 2010. It becomes BRICS grouping. Okay, so this is how the origin that we have to understand, that these 4 emerging economies, they provided some kind of resilience to this economic shock to G7 countries, and therefore the focus was being shifted towards the new market, emerging markets, and accordingly more and more investment was sought in these countries, and BRIC countries or BRIC grouping was formed. Now, a common ground, a common agenda was set here, like for example, no bilateral issues will be discussed on the BRIC grouping, it will be kept on the purely economic basis. However, later on what happened is, there many challenges emerged to this grouping, but before that, the positive outcome of grouping, or we can say development since 2009. Important or significant development happened in 2014, Fortaleza Declaration. Okay, so yes, UPSC already asked on this question, basic question in prelims, Fortaleza Declaration, BRICS Summit. This, according to this, first thing is that BRICS contingent reserve arrangement was formed. Contingent reserve arrangement, it provided for currency swaps among the member and helping the member countries from BOP crisis or any other financial crisis, balance of payment crisis or other financial crisis. Okay, so contingent reserve arrangement was prepared. Second thing is that BRICS Bank, or we can say New Development Bank, also called as New Development Bank. Its headquarter Shanghai. This was institutionalized during this from this Fortaleza Declaration 2014. Right, so these are the important developments, important outcomes. Especially we have to understand that BRICS grouping became the important, or we can say on the annual basis, these countries, these leaders since 2009, no one leader missed the summit, and every year the summit happened and no one leader missed the summit here. So this shows some kind of commitment by the members towards this grouping. Okay, so suppose this is the positive outcome, but now what we can focus here is challenges, the challenges in last one decade especially. We can talk about the country wise manner, right? Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa. Now, first thing, recently, if we are talking about the poor management of COVID-19 pandemic, and therefore we are expecting the delay in economic recovery of Brazil. Okay, very poor management of COVID-19 pandemic by Brazilian government. Okay, so this is the challenge here. If we are talking about Russia, since 2014, if we are talking about 2014, the aggressive stance taken here, like the annexation of Crimea from Ukraine, and later on its membership of G8 countries was removed. Okay, this country was removed from G8, again the G8 became G7. Okay, so this is the important development. At present we can say that Russia, the problem here is that Russia along with India did not participate in Belt and Road Initiative of China. Okay, though Russia maintains that Russia and China has good relations, but economic, let's say, cooperation, there are some problems here. So this is the aspect of Russia. Then China, again aggressive in South China Sea. Boundary dispute with India. Trade war with US, disputes with USA, right? So to some extent this is creating problem here from on behalf of China. Then we can talk about India here. Yes, at present we are focusing on dealing with COVID-19 pandemic, and the recovery path we focused here is Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. Atmanirbhar Abhiyan focus on domestic economy, strengthening domestic economy rather than international market or in export import, right? So that's why again India's focus on the international grouping or exploiting such kind of market, foreign market, again it is at present at slower rate because of COVID-19 pandemic, right? And South Africa, basically we can talk about the South Africa, especially the non-repayment of international loans, the bankruptcy that is growing on, balance of payment crisis. So this is, let's say, reducing the, we can say, its rating, global rating markets by the rating agencies. So these challenges at present faced by these countries, along with these challenges, the common challenges of the grouping, for example, the grouping has some kind of political, or we can say geo-strategic nature of subjects being dealt. Like, so for example, it talks about UN reforms, it talks about let's say whenever there is any country is having some kind of aggressive or dispute that is going on, it gives its opinion. So to some extent it is moving away from its agenda in these manners. These are the challenges, and to some extent we can understand that it is not following up or taking strong measures in this direction. These are the challenges. Now present collaboration, in present collaboration, first of all talk about the outcome of ministerial meeting, ministerial level meeting 2021 recently held. Two documents or agreements we can say focus on here. First talked about the UN reforms, or we can say reforms in multilateral bodies, reforms in multilateral bodies like UN, WTO or UNSC, right? So yes, first thing, reforms in multilateral bodies. Second, it talked about the support to patent waiver sought by India, South Africa in WTO TRIPS agreement for patent waiver for especially for production of drugs and vaccines related to COVID-19 pandemic, right? So these are two important documents. They were agreed as an outcome of this ministerial meeting. This shows the further the discussion on different topics that may happen when there will be head level, the heads of the government level summit or BRICS summit that will happen later this year. Okay, along with that there is BRICS Vaccine Center proposed at Johannesburg, BRICS Vaccine Center proposed at Johannesburg. So yes, further modalities still remaining, BRICS Vaccine Center at Johannesburg. Now way forward, surely as a way forward we can say at present there should be the major role should be played by Russia here, because there is some kind of axis created here, Russia China and Russia India. Okay, so yes, Russia India enjoys good relations, Russia China enjoys good relations, but in recent times the relations between India and China have been not good. They have changed, and therefore to some extent it will affect the BRICS cooperation also. So for that matter, Russia should act as a mediator and we can say leader in this grouping, so as to channelize whatever the investment, further investment in these emerging economies, and decide the post COVID-19 recovery path. Okay, so yes, this is how the way forward should be there. What kind of question we can expect here? BRICS grouping has failed to perform and realize the idea of rise of the rest. Critically analyze. Now to understand this phrase, rise of the rest, basically it is rise of the rest means earlier there were only G7 countries and the remaining countries were not that much, we can say, given importance, but emerging economies later on like Brazil, India, China, they were considered as rest, and therefore the rise of the rest that was expected, it is not realized. Okay, so this is how the challenges should be analyzed, focused here in this answer, in addition to some of the achievements. Okay. Now Facebook suspends Trump for 2 years. Now this particular development, earlier it was suspended indeterminately. The time period was not fixed. Now Facebook has said that the suspension is for 2 years, and it also announced the changes to how it will treat world leaders who break the company's rules on the postings on its site. Okay, so this is a good thing. because the regulations should come from the self regulation, we can say, by these companies itself. These companies have become so large, or we can say that even bigger than any state, and therefore there should be some kind of self regulation by these companies so as to sustain in future. At the same time, uniform norms should be applied to different countries and its citizens, right? So this is good development. Try to remember this as a follow up to governance aspect. Along with that, Mr. Trump has been permanently banned by the Twitter and suspended by YouTube after those Capitol riots that happened on January 6th, after the results were declared for presidential elections, right? So you need to remember the developments. Earlier we discussed about this, how the different events unfolded at that time during the presidential elections that happened, okay, and the violence that happened in the Capitol Hill. Okay, so this is regarding governance aspect. Now moving on to next, what is global minimum tax and what will it mean? Yes, let us try to understand the context here. Finance ministers from the group of 7 G7 rich nations, they yesterday reached a landmark accord setting a global minimum corporate tax rate, an agreement that could form basis for a worldwide deal. This is the development. Now what is this? First of all, let us try to understand what is this global minimum corporate tax rate and why there is need of. Okay, so as the name suggests, global minimum corporate tax rate. Okay, global minimum corporate tax rate. Basically we have to understand that concept, tax base erosion. What happens is the multinational companies, what they do is they shift their economic activities to tax havens, and tax havens, they are called tax havens because there are very low tax rates on the profits generated by these companies, right? And many of the economic activities and the profits they from these activities, they are of intangible nature. For example, royalty paid out of the patents that company holds, or any such intangible activities that are happening, such profits are being shifted to these tax havens. Tax havens, some of the examples like Mauritius, Singapore, Ireland. These countries charge very low corporate tax rates, okay, and that's why the companies invest in these countries more, right? So these MNCs are, what they are doing, the profits are shown in these tax havens, while their home countries the activities are shown less, and that's why the corporate tax is paid less in the home countries. This is called as tax base erosion, or shifting of profits from home countries where tax rates are higher to the tax havens. So to bring the uniformity and ensure the tax compliance, and we can say that the tax base erosion, to reduce this tax base erosion, such kind of global minimum corporate tax is proposed here by G7 countries. Okay, so we have understood why this global minimum tax. How would a global minimum tax work? Let us try to understand how. Suppose there is home country and there is tax haven country. Okay, there are two countries and MNC is originally from this country, and suppose this is tax haven and it has its subsidiary here, or any such branch of the company, Now the home country suppose charges the corporate tax of 25% on the profits, suppose, for example, and suppose this tax haven charges only 10% or even less we can say 5% only, suppose. This acts as a lucrative tax rate to these MNCs, and they shift their economic activities to these countries. Now what will happen when this particular provision is implemented, global minimum tax rate? So what will happen is, suppose a country, particular tax haven is charging 5% and there is 15% minimum global tax rate is there, then whatever the profits that are generated here by this company in this country, further 10% can be charged or topped up on in addition to this. Now this brings uniformity. Whatever the total profit generated by this company here, that will ensure the uniformity in tax rate. Here 25%, when it was 5%, again it will add 10%, it will become 35% and 5%. Okay, so indirectly this should be here. However, these countries are having some kind of, let's say, reduced tax rates to attract more investment. This is now to disadvantage to these tax havens, this global minimum tax rates. Okay, and it will benefit to home countries, especially this is idea of US. Many these companies, MNCs, are of US, origin country is US. So that's why such let's say global minimum tax rate, this is we can say proposed as 15% by US at present, and this is accepted by G7 countries. Okay, this is how we have to understand. What about the minimum rate? So what will happen is, these tax havens, like countries like Ireland, they earn their revenues from this investment by these companies in the country, especially by MNCs, and they will surely oppose such kind of global minimum tax, corporate tax, right? So in future, already OECD is in talks with around 60 countries for such kind of corporate tax, minimum corporate tax, so as to ensure the uniformity in tax rates and avoid any kind of tax base erosion. Okay, so you need to remember the concept here. Okay, how does this work? Global minimum corporate tax. Corporate tax is on profits that are generated by the corporate entities, companies generally we can say. Okay, yes. Now G7 grouping, some basics about G7 grouping. Yes, group of 7, this is intergovernmental organization or forum consisting of 7 largest economies. They formed in 1975, this G7 grouping was formed. Which are these countries? Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, US. Okay, so you can see here 4 countries of Europe, France, Germany, Italy and UK, 1 Japan, and then Canada and US. This is how you can remember. Now they meet on annual G7 summit. Earlier this G7 was known as G8 when Russia was added in this grouping in 1997, but in 2014 Russia was expelled from the grouping after the annexation of Crimea region of Ukraine by Russia. Okay, so this is the development, one of the important outcome of G7. In response to the concern over money laundering, the Financial Action Task Force on Money Laundering was established by G7 summit that was held in Paris in 1989. In 1989. So FATF is actually result of G7 grouping summit. Okay, so this you need to remember. Now 114 people killed in Burkina Faso attacks. Yes, some kind of rebels or jihadist terrorists, they have massacred at least 114 civilians in Burkina Faso's volatile northern region that borders with Mali and Niger, where jihadists linked Al Qaeda and ISIS have been targeting civilians and soldiers. Now Burkina Faso, Western African country, You can see the location and bordering countries, northern part Mali and Niger. Then we can see Benin, Togo, Ghana, Ivory Coast. Okay, these are the bordering countries to the Burkina Faso. Basics, some background you need to know. Yes, capital Ouagadougou, this is the capital. Then you need to know this got independence in 1960. It was French colony. It was French colony earlier. Though we can understand that French is not talked much by the people of Burkina Faso, still it is official language of Burkina Faso. Okay, now the northern part is actually the conflict zone, and there are many such jihadists located there. Okay, so you need to remember this aspect. Along with that, if you are talking about geography, geographical aspect, the climate is tropical climate. Along with that, the savanna, or we can say savanna grasslands. South Sudan savanna grassland type of biome can be observed here. This is part of this. Okay, so you need to remember the geography, the bordering countries, along with that the name Burkina Faso, Western Africa, location Western Africa. Fine. Okay, some practice prelims MCQs. Let us try to solve this. Yes, answer this question. Yes. Okay, so what should be the answer to this question? You can see which of the following country is not the member of G7 grouping. So why such question? Because last year UPSC asked in prelims examination about G20 members. Last year G20 members, which of the following are the members of G20, right, grouping. So such kind of question is being asked. So yes, surely they will ask the G7 grouping also. Fine. Yes. Now not the G7 grouping. Yes, France is there, Germany is there, Italy is there, Russia is not there. Okay, Russia was part of G8, but later it was expelled in 2014, and now G7 grouping does not include Russia. So the correct answer should be actually D here. What are the remaining members? France, Germany, Italy and UK. They are from Europe. Then we have Japan from Asia Pacific, and then we have Canada and US. These are the 7 countries. Now next question. Okay, so very simple. Just now we talked about this in GA7. Financial Action Task Force on Money Laundering is formed by G7 summit in 1989 that happened in Paris. Okay, so G20 is different group. G4 is the group of countries like India, Germany, Brazil, South Africa. Actually they are the contenders for permanent seat of UNSC, United Nations Security Council, expanded Security Council. And OECD is different forum for economic cooperation, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, right. So yes, the correct answer is G7. Okay, fine. So these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. I believe that you are following these lectures on day-to-day basis. If you are having any kind of doubt or question, please ask in the comment box. We'll have follow-up on those questions. We'll try to answer these doubts, answer these questions in the following lectures. For further information regarding ethics test series and public administration test series, and yes, essay test series as well as polity test series, to know more about this test series, its schedule, all the information, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.
Live online classes are as effective as offline classes. Ethics with S. Ansari remains the best ever choice. Do you know that ethics paper is the only paper in general studies that pays more with less efforts? One can easily secure 130 to 140 marks. Lukman IAS is a well-established name since 2014 for ethics paper. We offer 3 types of courses: Ethics Foundation course, Ethics Case Studies, and Ethics Test Series. Since 2015, Lukman IAS students have maintained the records of securing the highest marks in this paper. Ethics Foundation course is starting from 21st of June 2021. Classes will be for 4 days in a week from 11 am to 1:30 pm. The course duration is of 60 days and the videos will be available for 75 days. There will be 43 classes, of which 35 classes will be focused on theory and concept building and 8 classes will be dedicated for case studies. There will be over 180 case studies and 3 tests. Since 4 months are left for prelims, one can easily finish the ethics paper before prelims itself, and it's a good opportunity. So why to wait? Contact us today for more information.